just wanted to do another presentation here, and this is going to be on this digital product sales worksheet. It's basically a first version of the spreadsheet model that I'm working on to help you get a better vision, I guess bigger picture of the different metrics you'll need and some projections out over 24 months. So stick with me. I know that I tend to be kind of a slow speaker. I say and ah a little bit. I'm going to try to keep that down. And also want to apologize ahead of time for the not so fancy studio. Not quite there yet, but will hopefully be worth your time here with the content that is in this presentation. So just a little backstory on this. This is pretty fundamental stuff, but pretty much I think that a lot of us are too hyper-focused on the look and feel of things too soon in the game when we're doing digital marketing. I mean, setting up our website. I've found that the opinion among a lot of smaller size companies and non-tech companies is that it's easy because you can use WordPress, or you can sometimes outsource roles such as visual design or front-end development, WordPress websites. There's an endless number of CMSs out there, so the work is somewhat undervalued. And the fact is most people just want a good website design because they think it's going to make them money. But that is really just thinking too far ahead. We really want to start with our audience and niche. This is also fundamental stuff. We want to plan our user experience first. I have some videos around those topics. And then money. And the reason why a lot of us are, I think, failing to get the results we want and are not producing positive return for the dollars we're investing or the time we're investing is because we just don't have a good big picture. So what I'm going to do with this presentation, with this sheet that I'm working on, which I would appreciate your feedback, may not be perfect, and part of why I'm putting it out there is to begin to get some other feedback to add to the narrative. But basically what it is this narrative should enable you as a small business owner or digital entrepreneur to easily grasp what specific results that are going to need to be achieved throughout the process, the strategy or funnel, whatever you want to call it, to evaluate your performance and make a profit. And then what's going to be tied to that are standard operating procedures. So as we go through this spreadsheet, you'll be able to see how each basically metric will also have some related task. We're not going to go deep into that in this presentation, but basically as I go through line by line, things will start to stand out that will be able to identify as needing a set of standard operating procedures, so that those tasks can be and activities can be outlined. They can be taught to somebody within your organization or easily outsourced for implementation. So I will get into that later. And then again, I would appreciate feedback so that we can make this sheet better, make this model better. And then if this is something that I can help you with, please let me know. So let's take a look and jump in. Okay, so this is the sheet we're going to be looking at. It's the digital product sales worksheet. Again, model. This is the version 1 of this. So let me just go ahead and tuck away the title, give myself a little bit of more space here. And what this sheet has are several tabs. And as I go through, I'll be explaining each one. But I also have this instructions here on the first tab. So this will help us go through sheet by sheet. So the first thing we're going to want to do is when we jump into this is use the operating costs tab to list out any recurring monthly fees or salaries that we have or can anticipate to have in our business. And then what we're going to do is review the benchmark metric sheet and this is going to be where we're going to define some baseline metrics that are going to be used on other sheets, such as projections. So then on projections, we're basically going to work our way from the bottom up, or right now I have it so that the profit shows on the top line, just easier, but then it can also be sorted so that you can go from top down. But I'll just say bottom up, and that what we're going to do is start with a target audience size, and then there are 24 months out that we can currently project on this. So we can start at basically month 0, month 1, and then see how over time, with email list growth and conversions, how we'll be able to increase our sales and go from basically losing money to making a recurring income by month 24. So and then there's a total sheet as well, which is then going to show us the total revenue generated for a 24-month period, as well as the total number of, basically the gap between the number of email subscribers we've had on the first month and number of sales, and then over time how many opt-ins we've had, how many sales we've had, and how that ties to the revenue. And then you can take a closer look at that on the gap to goal tab. And then finally the insights tab is going to be where you basically can create some of your own notes. I currently have some notes there, but then based on your own exercise, doing this exercise yourself, then you'll be able to make your own notes there, which are going to more or less be your objectives, kind of like based on your findings. So let's go ahead and jump into this, and we'll start with operating costs. And then again, if you get lost anytime throughout doing this exercise, if you get a copy of this sheet from me, then go ahead and go to instructions and then go down sheet by sheet. So we'll start with operating costs. So what I've done is list out some basically roles, and then also some tools that maybe you'll be using. So just going from top to bottom, if you're just starting out in this, you may be doing all this stuff yourself. You may be trying to be founder, content creator, content manager, CMO. Maybe you're just trying to build your own website using tools, and then maybe you're using some tools like Canva or other options that are out there to do your own graphics. But what I've done is put some notes next to each one. So the founder, CEO, obviously you have the vision, strategy. You're going to be wanting to watch and monitor key performance indicators, getting out there doing business development, maintaining partnerships, and just overall seeing operations. If you're writing content, it's blog content, membership content, maybe you're creating video scripts, and then producing those webinars or video training. Content manager, this is the same. You need to come up with basically scheduling, tracking, and organizing content inventory, publishing blog content, publishing member content, editing, uploading videos, managing how that stuff gets distributed. So as you can already see, there are quite a number of responsibilities that you have if you are a one-man shop. Moving into being a CMO, digital marketing strategy, audience keyword research, you have Google Ads management, solo ads, affiliate ad campaigns, analytics and reporting. And then like a full stack web dev, more or less is going to be that guy that helps manage server hosting issues. If you have complex web portals, back-end development, that is what a full stack developer is going to do. And this can actually be multiple roles as well. I think there's a tendency to kind of overestimate what a single guy can do. So sometimes it is better just to have like a back end developer that manages more of the server hosting, deep engineering stuff. Sometimes you need 2 people for that, 3 on the back end. It depends on how large your operation is going to be. And then on the front end, you might have front end designers that work with making the site look nice, setting up funnel pages, things like that. And then, of course, if you want everything to look good, you need a graphic designer. So right now I have these amounts set at 0. We can come back and experiment with this later, but I've also put some benchmarks here. And it's like if you are a CEO looking to make anywhere from 150 to 200 grand a year, you might want to just set that in there. Content creation. And I don't really think that these are asking for too much. I mean, even to make anywhere from 5 to 10,000 a month in the US, I think is more or less a baseline what you should be looking to do for yourself. So let's just say you're going to do everything. I'm just going to call yourself the CEO, give yourself a nice base salary of $5,000 a month to get this thing going. And then we're going to get into some tools. We have ActiveCampaign, which is like MailChimp or Infusionsoft, and there's going to be a range of pricing. It can start out at $9.99 a month and go up to hundreds of dollars a month, just depending on what service you're using and also the number of subscribers or features that you want access to. Same with hosting. DreamHost is just who I've used for quite some time, but there are other options. There's GoDaddy, which I probably wouldn't recommend to you, but then there's WordPress Engine, Bluehost, a number of other options out there. If you use the Google Suite or Microsoft, you might have a fee for that, a small fee for that. I use tools like 1Password. Beaver Builder is a nice WordPress tool for building like basically drag and drop pages, and then some other options. I think the annual fee on that is about $400 if you have an agency license, and I think it's $90 a year if you just need it for one website. That's for updates and support. And you might also have something like ClickFunnels. So again, what I'm getting at is this sheet is going to give you just basically total up all your monthly overhead. And it may be similar to this. It may be a lot more. Maybe your organization has a person filling all of these roles at higher or lower salaries. Maybe they're outsourced and these salaries are not as high as the benchmarks. So you want to work through this. Okay. Moving on to benchmark metrics. I'm going to try to make this pretty painless so we don't spend an hour here. But then again, okay, so the operating cost is coming from this total here. So $5,267.91 currently. If we go to benchmark metrics, that's our operating cost here. And then we have other metrics such as our chargeback rate. This would be when, say, somebody has a credit card on file and then you go to rebill them the next month and the credit card declines. Maybe they've reached their limit. Maybe they didn't pay their payment, things like that. So obviously we want to keep that as low as possible. Refund rates, again, it's if somebody just hates what they bought from you and they want a refund or it's just not for them, then you can refund their money. So want to keep that number low. Retention rate is the percentage of recurring customers that we carry over into the next month and rebill. So again, it would be ideal in a perfect world, retention would be at 100%, but let's maybe more realistically say that maybe 2/3 of our members stick around from month to month. And then we have upsell price. Like these can be one-time offers, and the price of your upsell can vary. I mean, you can have high-end coaching, you can have a low-end front-end product that's $7, and then a back-end product that is, $50 or $100. But for calculation purposes on this sheet right now, this is just going to be a one-time non-recurring purchase that's added to the recurring membership billing monthly fee. So again, just notes here that you can review yourself. So I'm trying to, as I explained this in the video, there are also notes that I've created as I've been building this, so that when you're going through it, you can just hover over these and get an idea. So again, upsell price, maybe there's a member that would pay $37 a month, but if they took you up on like a very high-end coaching, or maybe, in my case, somebody comes in, they're paying monthly, and then they want to retain me for a couple of months to build something out for them, and then the cost of that is, say, $10,000 for setting up a website, maybe doing a little bit of SEO work on this, on-page SEO, and maybe setting up a ad campaign. It could be $10,000, it could be $20,000, just depends on the size of the site. So if I say out of every 100 people that are maybe joining the site, one of those takes me up on that offer, that would be my upsell rate. And then moving down, we're kind of, moving from higher up in the funnel to working our way backwards on our benchmarks here. So let's just say our conversion rate, our conversion percentage is going to be the number of folks that we convert. I'm basing it off of the size of our email list, because with this model, we're going to be driving traffic and then getting opt-ins, and then we're basically going to be doing our marketing through our email and content marketing follow-up. So if 1.5% of our list converts, that's realistic. 5% is great, means we have a very targeted list and our offer is in alignment with them, and then 10% would be phenomenal. So our conversion percentage is going to have a lot to do with the quality of our list and the pain of the market. So if our offer fits the target market, then typically these conversion rates are going to be higher. So conversion rates can also be affected by other touch points, but ultimately, we're going to be looking at the conversion rate of our subscriber list. So in order to improve this, some strategies might be webinars, doing pre-qualification or interview calls, remarketing ads, etc. And this is once we've identified who our target audience is. So typically, the more niche down we are on our audience, and the more in alignment and our offer is with those folks, then the higher this conversion percentage is going to be. So don't necessarily need a huge list, but that list should have quality prospects on it. Email conversion rate. This sounds different than what it is, but the email conversion rate is basically the number of folks that opt in once they've visited the site. So if you run an ad to a landing page, and then 20% of the visitors take you up and say download your ebook or coupon, free report, maybe some video training, or opt in to watch a webinar, that's going to be your email conversion rate. So again, I think 20% might be a little high. That's kind of like saying every 100 people that visit the site are going, out of every 100 that visit, 20 are going to opt in. So that would be great, but maybe let's keep it a little more realistic. We'll just start with 10% and see how this affects our numbers. Cost per click is a pretty reasonable, pretty easy thing to describe. It's just basically when you're running an ad, whether it's through Facebook or Google, when that ad is served, somebody clicks on that link to your site, then you're going to be charged for that click. Click-through rate is the number of folks who have seen your ad, and then the percentage of those that actually click on it. And then your frequency, again, some notes here, but your frequency is how often the user sees the ad. It's if somebody sees your ad like 100 times, then they're probably just going to be ignoring it. If every time someone's logging into their Facebook account, they see that exact same ad from you, it tends to create banner buying lists. So want to kind of mix it up. You can target the same audience over and over, but keep the frequency at like 10 or less. So maybe you have 10 ads that you're showing 10 times or less, then that user could see your ads 100 times. But if each one's a little different, maybe one's a video, two are a video, a couple are a photo of you, another one's something catchy that maybe isn't as recognizable as you. So there's different ways of setting up these ads so that you can maximize the click-through rate on them. And then the reach of your target audience is basically the percentage of your total target audience size that you've deemed to be your demographic, folks that you'd like to reach out to. Just depends on what you've defined in your user persona. And again, this is where you should start, is defining who your target audience is and getting really niched down. You don't necessarily need to have 1 million people in your audience and only reach 5% of them. Maybe you have 100,000 people and you want to reach 20% of those folks. So again, just start here, come up with some real high level metrics, and then we're going to get into the good stuff in a second. So again, membership price is going to drive your bottom line, profit and revenue. So I find what a lot of folks do, I've probably would be making this mistake myself if I was charging, say, $37 a month to launch a membership without a back-end product. I'm probably going to be losing money, which you'll see once we get into the projections. So how many billing cycles? This number is not really doing anything on our projection sheet, but we just want to kind of set something here like, okay, how many times do we want somebody to bill? And if you're only doing like a one-time sale, the billing cycle is once. But say you want to keep a member around for 12 months or 6 months, just go ahead and change that. And then your LTV to customer acquisition cost ratio is just another number here that you can change. And 3 is optimum, but if you say 4, that's probably better. And what this is basically, let's see, your lifetime customer value. So if a member bills, if you're charging $10 a month, $37 a month, and they're billing for 10 periods, and then they cancel and you never see them again, then their lifetime value is $370. And then the acquisition cost is all of the other costs that you have to actually acquire that customer, whether it was ad spending, spending on graphic design, all the things that you're spending money on before you actually get a customer. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then organic list growth is just list growth, like opt-ins that come from people sharing content. Maybe these are your friends and family, maybe they're partnerships that you come up with, or like email lists, for example. You're doing a solo ad, or maybe it's an affiliate. Actually, organic wouldn't be affiliate, but affiliate is another way to send traffic to your site. Guest posts, if you go on, if you've been invited by another site that caters to your target audience, and then you do a guest post, and then in your bio, folks are coming to your site from that. That can be another way to get organic traffic. Or if you've done a good job of optimizing your posts so that they're showing up in search, that can also send a lot of organic traffic as well. It doesn't mean it's free. It just means that you're not bidding and buying for the clicks. It's just that it's organic. So once it's out there, it can over time tend to give you better results, but it doesn't mean it's free, because you still have to do work to do it. Whether it's writing an email to send to somebody, creating that search optimized post that you're putting out there, that's takes you a while to get to the top rankings. So there's a lot of other work with it. So. When you first look at this as it is right now, I think this is kind of what a lot of people do is, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get 100,000 people, make some sales, and make or lose money. So as you can see, I have a bunch of these rows and columns hidden, but let's just take a look at this. Like, say we're in month 4, we have benchmark metrics, and we're in month 24, we've changed some things. So we can do this. We can say, to increase equity, let's increase our LTV, our conversion percentage, decrease our cost per click, or our overhead. So we could go back to benchmark metrics and let's just raise our price. That's maybe the best place to start. Let's say, you know what, we've gone through this whole exercise. We figured out that we're crazy to charge $37 a month because we're going to be losing money. So maybe now we're getting at, we have a profit there because we've determined we need to charge more for our product. Again, back to benchmark metrics. If we went to operating costs, you can see that we're also paying ourselves a monthly salary of $5,000. So this might be a decent place to start. But this isn't the whole story. We're going to start from month 1. You might be losing money month over month over month over month, all the way to out here. And it isn't just sending traffic, getting customers, and getting a profit because you've calculated in some operating costs. So this is where this lesson can get quite long. Okay, so we're here in this sheet, and we're going to start down here at target audience size. And if you recall, all this is coming off of benchmark metrics. So we can start with a target audience size. The more we know our target audience and who they are and how we can serve them, the better we'll be able to complete this journey ahead. So here's our narrative, and then we're going to work our way up so that we can ultimately arrive at a profit sooner here rather than later, because we might not make it that far. So let's say that we're able to reach 20% of a target market. So that's going to leave us with 20,000 people that are possibly seeing our ads. Maybe they see them 10 times, so we're going to get 200,000 impressions on those ads. And then out of those people, we're going to get 1.5% click through. And then if you click on some of these, you'll be able to see. So like 1.5% of our unique visitors are going to be our click-through rate, D42 divided by D39. So we're taking the reach, the number of folks who will actually see our ad. We have a click-through rate. That's going to give us 300 visitors. Now, if we're paying $1.40 a click, that's basically going to cost us $420 for that ad spend. And then if we get 10% of those folks to sign up on our email list, that gives us 30 opt-ins. Okay, so now if we're looking at organic list growth, in addition to the opt-ins that we got from the visitors that landed on our landing page, we may have, this number can vary, and again, subscribers may not always come from paid ads, perhaps we get a surge of visitors from an article we publish, or some friends share a video we posted, or content on our website finally gets recognized by Google as having some authority. So organic list growth is basically, I wouldn't call them free subscribers, but they're not going to directly be related to our ad spend. So those each month will also be in addition to the opt-ins we get from running our ads. And then moving up the funnel, or down the funnel, I should say, we're going to have an unsubscribe rate. So starting in the second month, whatever visitors, or subscribers we had sign up on that first month or that we already had, potentially could unsubscribe the next month. So, and then moving forward. So this, as our list gets bigger, then this number can also change as well. So you can see right now, 0.25% with only 30 subscribers, it's not even going to really give us an accurate number. But as we move forward and our subscriber count is higher, then this number is going to grow as well. And then what non-member list size is as months come to pass and there is we have a segment of our customers or subscribers that have actually joined our membership, then we're going to exclude these from our overall list size so that we can get an accurate metric as far as conversion rate goes. So, for example, in the future, say you had 10,000 people on your email list, but 2,000 people of those were actually members. You're not going to be trying to convert all of those 10,000 subscribers into your membership. It's really only going to be about 8,000. So just want to keep that in mind. And then based on all these metrics, you're going to have a cost per lead. So again, the narratives here, as you get excited and begin to grow your email list, it's important to know exactly how much it is costing you to obtain your each lead on your list. So this can have a direct impact on the profitability of your list. And again, if you had built your list up to 1,000 subscribers and it cost you $14 per lead, basically it would have cost you $14,000 to create that list of 1,000 subscribers. So really want to be watching this number based on the number of number of conversions you're getting and the number of the cost you're spending on ads. And once I get through this whole all these metrics, we'll be able to jump back to the benchmark metrics and then kind of start adjusting some of this stuff so you can see how you can pull the lever and maybe change some of these conversion rates, maybe go for lower cost per spend or a higher opt-in rate. Things like that are all going to affect how all these numbers across the board will change. So once we get to conversion, this is an important metric right here. Kind of discuss this on the benchmark metrics, but this should be a metric that we care about. Conversion rate is the rate of leads that have, the number of leads that have opted into our list that actually convert and purchase our membership or our product. So I'd say 1.5% is realistic. 5% would be great, and 10% would be phenomenal. If you're getting 10%, 1 in every 10 people to purchase from you that join your list, that's going to be pretty awesome. But on the realistic end, we'll go for 1.5%. So probably about every 200 people you can expect maybe 3 sales. And the success and of this metric is going to have a lot to do with the quality of the leads on your list and the pain of the market. If your offer is a good fit with the target market, then your chances of success are going to be higher, and your conversion rate may also be improved by adding additional layers into your marketing maybe you do some workshops, you do some challenges. Those, like 7-day challenges, 21-day challenges are pretty popular. Webinars. If maybe you have like coaching, you can offer pre-qualification calls, which could be like a free coaching session, interview calls. You can do remarketing ads, which again would be added into your ad spend, but then is probably going to be cheaper than going after cold traffic. And all that is to improve this conversion rate and get that up. And then you have a conversion amount, which is straightforward. It's just the number of people that actually buy based on the number of your list. So you can see with starting out, you really don't have any people on your list, 1.5% conversion rate. This number is irrelevant at 1/2, at 0.45. So you probably want to round all these up or down depending. So 2 new subscribers, 4, 6, 8, maybe 10, 11. As time goes on, as your email list gets bigger month after month, then the same conversion amount is obviously just going to result in more new sales each month. So again, the goal here is to drive cold traffic, build your email list, and then improve the conversion rate on your email list, typically through these other touch points that I mentioned, whether they're email automation campaigns, webinars, just good content to get folks to engage with you. And we'll be talking about that some more as we go on. Again, just real high level, giving you some ideas, but there are some very specific strategies that we can introduce and you can follow. So then we get to upsell rate, which I mentioned when I was talking about the benchmark metrics sheet, is that upsell rate would basically be out of every so many subscribers. If you had 100 people purchase your offer, and then 1% of those bought from you, then you get one person to purchase out of every 100. And then again, starting out with this example so far, you can see that with a small list, it really 1%, you're not really going to be getting anybody. So I would just consider these fractions to be zeros all the way out, and until we work on improving this number here, unique visitors, and then improving this conversion rate and this new opt-ins, and as well as our actual conversion, then we're not going to have anybody taking us up on our one-time offer. Now, if I went over here and changed that to say, I don't know, say 10% took us up, then we can see we start to get some, some movement there after our list size is a little bit bigger, which can make a significant, it can make significant change to our bottom line. And stick with me, because pretty much my goal with going through this the first time is to get through all these metrics, explain them, and then you're probably going to see how poor it is, how much money you'd be losing, especially benchmark metrics. You're going to be going over to like operating costs. You can follow operating costs back to, if you're paying yourself a salary. Well, maybe you didn't want to pay yourself a salary until things get going. You're just doing all the work. You're going to see that it's less out of pocket. Like, this is more going to be for ad spend and not so much operating costs. And then once we get through this, we can tweak some of these numbers, boost this gross revenue, net revenue. We can kind of come back to start tweaking our operating costs, maybe hiring people to do these jobs. We might need to do things like adjust our membership price, adjust our click-through rates, or lower cost per click. Maybe we need to improve our email conversion rates and our conversion rates on our list, and as well as our upsell rate, or the amount of what we're charging for our upsell products and retention rates so that everything works, so that we can cover operating costs and make a profit. Again, you have email list, then you have a conversion rate, you have a conversion amount, which are the number of people that buy from you, and then an upsell rate is the number of these people that have purchased from you, that then you're selling an upsell product to, which will generate upsell revenue, which then ties in with your new revenue. And you have new members. So as time goes on, again, you'll have new members from the previous period, and then those carry over based on your retention rate, cancellation. So then month over month, you're going to have a certain percentage of people will be falling off. And then the number customers that are remaining carry over, and then your gross revenue is driven from that number. So you'll have the customers at the beginning of the period, and then any upsell revenue, and then the recurring subscriptions based off of the price of your membership. So again, say you were to only be charging $37 a month, and then let's just say for now we just are going to put we're going to put this at 0. We're going to put our upsell rate at 0 because we don't have enough members to really justify creating a upsell product. So then if we go back in here to projections, this is going to be a lot more accurate. So again, coming up, 13 new members each month would generate $495, and then by say month 12, you have 48 members at the end of the previous period, and you had some cancellations and some new members. So you had new members at the end of the previous period. You retained 70%, you lost 30, 15 cancellations. So you have 15 or 54 customers that are paying $37 a month, which, if you look at that, is going to be the gross revenue that you're generating. Hopefully, we don't get any refunds. But again, if you want to, say you had 0.5% refund rate, you can see that this adjustment comes in here. So it's probably not going to make a difference at that amount of members, $3.71. So let's just say maybe 10% refund rate. And that way, then you'd lose a little bit of revenue, maybe 2 people or something are canceling. Chargebacks, I'll just skip that for now. Now you can kind of see okay, well, we lowered our price starting out in month 1. We're going to be investing money in ads, and paying for our overhead, such as our tools. It's going to take us a while before we even start to break even. We're still not profitable, so we can continue coming up the funnel here. Take a look at some of these other numbers. We have cost per acquisition. So cost per acquisitions are similar to customer acquisition cost, but what it costs us in ad spend to acquire each customer. So basically, we're saying that for every, by month 6, for every $42, $43 that we spend, we are getting 1 customer, which is not even a return on our ad spend. But then after our operating costs, it's costing us $70 to actually acquire a customer. So then our lifetime value, to a customer acquisition costs is 0.53, which is not good. We want to be running at least 4. So for every dollar we spend, it should be generating us at least $4 in customer lifetime value. So now that we've gotten through some of these, when you get this sheet, if you run into any problems, just let me know, and we'll work through fixing any of this. Sometimes I like to, you can hide columns. It makes it a little easier to see. Let's hide this column, and then you can just go from top to bottom. It's a little easier to see all of your metrics. And then again, I like to kind of look at stuff like benchmark metrics, and maybe I'll just, raise the price to $97. See some of the adjustments that would happen. We kind of start getting to profitability a little bit sooner. Let's say we can come up with a really good webinar that we get 2 out of every 10 people that visit our page to sign up for, because we do a really good job of defining who our audience is. It's going to kind of start, maybe we'll start profiting a little bit sooner, maybe by month 4. And then let's just, like, for example, let's say we can boost up our conversion rate, like from 1.5% to 2.5%. Now we're starting to lose less money, more profit by month 3. And then if we take a look and see like about how many subscribers we have, so customers, yeah, still 2. Then let's say maybe we can increase we can add an add-on service to maybe 20% of the people that buy. We can add a $500 fee to that, and then let's see, maybe we can start seeing some return on that a little sooner than if these numbers are all low. So again, all this stuff has to do with, like, okay, audience size, click-through rate, cost per click. I mean, say we get really cheap clicks for maybe $1. That's going to maybe take off some of our ad spend, but it doesn't make a huge difference. I usually think price is probably going to be the most effective. So think about charging $200 or $197 a month. Now we're really going to start seeing more revenue to work with sooner. And then the other one is audience size. Maybe we're actually able to reach 200,000 people. Maybe we can get a 2% click-through rate. So you can start to see how throughout each phase of this process that there's going to be work to do. For example, your target audience size, you might not think that you have a large audience. Maybe you do have a large audience, but you're only able to reach a small amount of them. Then maybe it's not the right audience. Maybe you need to work on, it's like if you had 50,000 people that you're reaching, it's going to take you longer to reach the same amount of revenue. Let's say you had a smaller audience that you're actually able to reach a larger percentage of those on whatever platform. And yeah, you can see it starts to make a significant boost there. But then say because it's a competitive audience, your cost per click is higher. So then you're going to lose money. And then again, say you didn't have an upsell product, so your upsell rate's 0%. Not as much revenue. And again, maybe you're Maybe you start losing a lot of members, 50%. Again, it has an effect to your bottom line. Let's see, what else could we change here? Maybe you figure out you need to raise your price to $297 a month. Then you might start operating at a healthy, by month 4, maybe it's actually generating enough revenue that you're able to replace your job. By month 24, might be good, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to look like this, where you're starting your product, $37 a month. You're running negative for month after month, and then you're barely making a profit. You're working your butt off for, years just to make a little bit of revenue. Maybe here you're like paying $300 a month for, instead of Active Campaign, maybe it's Infusionsoft. So again, you're going to be losing money. Again, cost per click, maybe you're only getting a 1% because your ads suck. Maybe your conversion rate's bad because your sales copy sucks. Maybe your email conversion rate is really bad. You're only getting 5 out of every 100 people. That's really going to have a big impact on you. Let's see. Retention, 0. Say you did a product, you don't retain any people month over month, but then you just do, say you just decide to charge $1,997 for your product. You can maybe do better. You're not operating a membership, but you are building your list, and by month 2, couple sales, you're running at a healthy LTV to customer acquisition cost. That's maybe a good approach. Let's see. But yeah, I'd say your target audience and number of people that you reach makes a big difference. Your email conversion rate, this is a big one too. Probably try to get 10%. 10%, you really start building your list. As your list gets bigger, then you have the power to basically market to them through these other touch points, and as time goes on, you'll see that your customer acquisition costs go down. So like your cost per acquisition is going to be very high in the beginning, but then as your list gets bigger, your cost per acquisition is actually going down because you're remarketing to the same people on your list through email, and then that's going to multiply your return on ad spend. So that's huge if you're spending less on ads and then getting a bigger return. Operating costs, again, this kind of starts getting where if you're making this much a month, then maybe you do need people full-time. Like maybe you have a content creator and a content manager who could be the same person that you just pay a full-time salary. And again, what kind of salary are you going to be paying these people? Like if they're US based and they're talented, and you've done your own homework, and you know that maybe you need to be making $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $20,000 a month yourself, is the person that you're hiring going to have the same kind of needs? Like a CMO, for example, say you had to hire a chief marketing officer, $10,000 a month. Again, starts tapping into your bottom line. If you're going to turn into a real company, pay yourself $15,000 or $20,000 a month as a CEO. Still have some profit left, but then your lifetime value to overall customer acquisition costs go down, so you don't have as much to reinvest in the business. So again, maybe everybody's like, all right, well, 10, maybe CMO makes 5, sort of healthy. At least you want to be at 3, operating at 3 by month 24, but these are the months that are concerning. You're going to need some investment, so like you can kind of total those up. Okay, I kind of had to take a break and come back to this, but so we can mess around with this sheet for, as long as we want, and come up with all kinds of different totals. But in the end, what our goal basically is to figure out, how to start out in month 1 and make an investment either of time or money, and as soon as possible, get to a level of profitability where we'll be able to be reinvesting money back into the business. And obviously, that's going to have to do with a whole bunch of different metrics. And I think my goal of this worksheet isn't necessarily to just get hung up to where you watch these, where you want to be watching these metrics obsessively. It is so that you can go through this exercise and kind of determine from the get-go what is going to be acceptable for you. Starting here, it's kind of like are you going to charge $37 a month for a product and run at a negative, or are you going to be able to charge $2,000 a month for a product and have a full team of people working for you, or possibly just be, yourself doing all of this to maybe replace a monthly income. So, at the end of it, maybe you can start out, it takes you a few months to get some momentum, and by the end of year 1, you're consistently making, some sales every single month or so to, be able to live full time off of this. Or maybe, for example, you need to take a good look at your metrics here and really work on not only your pricing, but also optimizing, keeping your cost per click down, maybe getting more organic growth through, maybe you're doing YouTube videos or social media or search engine optimization. There are other ways of getting traffic, but dollar for dollar, pay per click is probably going to be your best option. So moving on, we can then take a look at the totals sheet, which will then show us over this 12-month period what we're 24-month period, I should say, our totals. So if we're spending $10,000 on ad spend and then $251,000 on our overhead, which again is basically just paying ourselves a $10,000 a month salary at this point, if you just saw me change that, then over this time we're going to have $251,000, almost $252,000 in overhead and earning revenue of $926,000. Now, this may or may not be a possibility, but at least you'll be able to see here if what you're projecting, again, let's just say that we're going to change our price to $197. We can come over here to totals and really just see like what a difference in income that would make. Overhead, $251,000, revenue, $91,000. So at that point, it would not be possible to pay ourselves $10,000 a month. We may only be able to, for example, assume that we'll be bringing an extra $35,000 over a year for the next 2 years. So close to $70,000 profit over 2 years, which may not be able to replace our income. So again, this just kind of tells, the average monthly growth for the first 12 months, and then, for the 12 to 24 month average growth, and then average growth overall from month 1 to 24, and then how many people per month we're adding to our email list. Again, this just kind of gives you a high level view. And then there's another sheet here, gap to goal, which kind of means like, starting out month 1, what our revenue is, and then what our future, what our future revenue would be by month 24. Which, again, I put the price point here. So if I change that and we remained at 197 a month, then this is going to be basically our monthly revenue by month 24. So I think kind of what I'm saying with this, guys, is you can go through this process before you even get started. Or if you're struggling currently, with generating enough revenue to support things, I kind of think the most obvious thing to look at is your pricing. Beyond that, you really are going to need to look at your audience. You're going to need to look at things such as your conversion rate, your click-through rates, and then possibly upsells, possibly adding on other services or products to what you're offering on the front end. If you are only charging, say, $35 a month or $10 a month, companies like software as a service companies may have hundreds of thousands or millions of users that they acquire, and that's how they're able to operate and possibly generate a profit. But they also have huge overhead. And with a model like this, it's kind of like if you're a coach or you're somebody creating a course, then don't undersell yourself. It might seem like a lot of money to charge $197 a month, but if people aren't sticking around for a year or so, then it's going to really eat into the amount of revenue you may be able to earn. And for me, at this point, I think earning this amount of money a month is great, especially if you have a job and this is kind of something like extra you can do. This could be on autopilot if you've created a course, or for example, if you're a developer and you've created a theme, or maybe you're a graphic designer and you're selling some products on the side, maybe some templates, packages, things like that. And you can make a few dozen sales a month at $197. It can bring you a nice extra income once it's going. But I think if you want to make some significant money, then it's probably going to need to be something like you're either going to need to be charging close to $2,000, even $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 for a product, or you need to focus on creating a membership where you're retaining 70 or 80% of people, and then growing it over time, and then getting yourself to a point where your lifetime value and your customer acquisition costs are in a healthy spot to where you can reinvest that money into ads. Maybe you have a budget and you're only budgeting $400 or $500 a month, but then you can raise that budget and double the amount or triple the amount of visitors you're sending, qualified visitors you're sending to your site, which then could result in some growth. There's probably other lines that we can add onto this sheet, which would attribute traffic from other sources. Like I mentioned before, there's the possibilities of doing affiliate marketing, tapping into some like JV partnerships. Sometimes guest posts I think work. YouTube content, if you're in a position to be able to make good videos, I think I see people succeeding with that. But again, it's all about the numbers and the metrics, so you have to be able to generate enough enough views, enough interest, and then that kind of, if it's organic and you're basing it off of searches, then you need to start with your audience, kind of figure out what they're looking for, what their pain points are, and then build your content around that. And just moving forward, it's a lot of work. So you can be a lot more efficient. Like I mentioned, if you start creating, standard operating procedures, it's like for every new user persona, if you have a certain operating procedure you follow, you'll be able to get those done faster in order to identify who those people are, what they're searching for, doing your keyword research. The same thing with like content production. There's certain processes that you should follow as far as writing content, optimizing it for search, the way you name your titles. Same thing with your ads. There's certain hooks, certain things are going to get people's attention more than others, which is all going to affect, like the number of impressions you get and the number of click-throughs. If it's viral content, again, there's always, everybody's an expert in their own domain. So you need to find the right people or hire the right people and then get your processes right so that you can meet these goals and be profitable. There's another tab on here. This doesn't update dynamically, so there's probably some info on here just as I've been creating this. But for example, a metric might be to work on increasing your list size 25% each month, month over month for 12 to 13 months in a row. That'll result in some good growth. Where you could double your list size every month for 5 to 6 months in a row. Do something like add 200, 300 new email subscribers per day for 12 months. That would give you some huge growth. Add 6 new members a day, even if it's 1 new member a day, especially depending on your price point. Always consider raising your prices or other ways of giving your customers more value so that you can get more value from them too over the lifetime. This could be other products that supplement what they've originally purchased, or it could be other services, events. You can do seminars, paid webinars, and improving conversion rates. I think I'm pretty big on doing email automations where once you have those running, then they're fairly easy to keep going. As people are coming into your funnel, your automations are always running in the background, so it's not like you're having to do a campaign every day to new people that you're coming in contact with. It's more like you can automate things, like there's ways of automating your webinars, and then if somebody signs up for a webinar, you can make them an offer on those webinars. If they don't take you up on that, there's ways of following up with content over time, keeping your newsletters and just engagement. Same thing with your apps. If you have an app, there are, it probably makes sense to pay attention to how you're onboarding people so that if somebody signs up for like a free plan or a base level plan, you just want to build value into them using the app so that they don't want to leave, and that the features that they're using are helping them. It's bringing them value. It's going to kind of be a no-brainer for them to want to sign up for like a higher level of service. And then retention rate, that's always, especially if you're offering a month-to-month or a low-priced membership or subscription month-to-month, retention rate is going to be huge for you. And then, like this, in this case, maybe like lifetime memberships or courses. Don't sell yourself short. It's very, I think, tempting to underprice your product because you think that that's a good way to get people in the door. But unless you have a plan to follow up with, other offers, then it's also a quick way of losing a lot of money quickly. So it's probably better just to focus on creating a really good course and then selling it for at least, I think a good price point is starting at about $387, but I see plenty of courses on the market for a couple $1,000s, and at that point it doesn't take quite as many people to generate a significant amount of income. I mean, the difference of getting 500 people to sign up for a couple grand and making $1 million versus thousands of people to sign up for something for $100 is a lot of, it's a big gap and a lot of work. So you might want to consider that. Yeah, I think that's probably it. I know this presentation went on for quite a while. Maybe need to break this up into a little mini course. But if you've stuck around and saw all the insights, please let me know what you think of this process, and if there is a way that I can help you do something like this, I would be glad to help. If you have any feedback on on this whole sheet, let me know. My goal with this is to kind of, like I said, keep building this out to where almost each of these major areas are going to link to other types of operating processes. So if, especially for myself, doing this with my own business or helping others, there's basically like two for websites, landing pages, writing copy. There are ways of improving your conversion rates following certain formulas, ways of tracking this stuff, ways of improving organic list growth, email conversions, etc. And I did have another video you might have seen before, which basically was this sandbox where it's not so much, it's not as in-depth as like the month-over-month projections, but this is also something you can kind of mess around with, just playing with all those same numbers, just top to bottom, so that you can not have to do projections, but just see what you'd get with just using nice round numbers. Okay, hope I didn't ramble too much. It's a lot to cover, so let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.